Hey, what's going on, guys and girls, guys and gals, cats and kittens, you dude and dudettes? Feeling a little bit better, been sick most of the Christmas holiday. Actually, got the Christmas dinner sitting in the icebox. We got this stomach virus, whatever it is, going around. But anyway, on to the purpose at hand. Santa Claus brought us a ATEM Mini Pro, ATEM Mini. And we're going to do some playing around with it. I learned quite a bit having it on hand, and I like that where I can actually evaluate something by running it through its paces, and this is where we're going to start. Now, I've got the pastor mic here. I'm using an SM57. Just as you can see, let's go back over to config. I got this gain maxed out. I'm probably about maybe a half an inch, maybe an inch away from it. And I've got a gate on it just to take away some of the breathing. Over on the compressor, as you can see, I've got it set right there at the -18. I really don't want it coming on until I really get on it. Test, oh, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. So, kind of simulate a Pentecostal preacher. I love them to death. It's what I enjoy listening to. And they are somebody that will get right up and eat that microphone. Okay, so this is the scenario. Here I've got the podium mic, which is non-existent. And that's all I've done for this particular microphone. Now, over here, I've got the CD player coming in. And over here, I've got the stream for the vocals, which I've got the pastor mic going into right here. And then for the music, I've got the CD player going into it. Okay. Now, it's going to get a little bit tricky here, but it shouldn't be too bad. Over on the buses, I've got the vocal mic 5 dBs higher than the music. So your podium mics, your pastoral mics, your announcement mics is going to be just a little bit louder, and we want that because we perceive music louder than we do the vocals. And the whole purpose of this is to send that signal into the ATEM, and from there, we're going to send it into OBS. Now, I'm having a little bit of an issue this morning because when I turn on OBS, it's wanting to use the same driver that I'm using for Camtasia, which is the microphone going through my system for my latest 8-channel analog board that I'm actually, that I record my videos with. But anyway, from here, okay, from these buses right here, I am sending them to matrix number 1. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to sum these two channels into one. Now, I'm coming out of the back of the rack through the auxiliary output number 5, and that's going into matrix 1 right here. I'm coming out with an RCA cable to a 1/8 inch cable. 1/8 inch gets plugged into the ATEM, and this pretty well sets just like it is, okay? Now, the thing that I want to show here is what I've always say. I would do a little bit of adjusting here on the board, but I want to keep this as close to unity as I possibly can. Okay, right here, the main fader at unity. Here we're at unity. Over here, I'm within the 10 dB bracket is what I call it. 5 dBs up, 5 dBs below. Within that range, and that is going to give us our best 24-bit processing power. Okay, as you can see right up in here, we're going to bus 1, unity. Over here at the stream, the mono, the matrix, we are at unity. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and open up the ATEM software, and we're going to talk about a few things there, and I'll come back and we'll play some music through it, and we'll see what our meters say. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, I got my audio coming in out of the 57. We're coming up in here. I had a lot of questions on this, guys, and before I actually got my hands on it, it's hard to see, but this is not clipping. We're still at a -1.5 right here. Okay, so we're not clipping this audio here, but I want to come down and show you in the preferences in the audio. We're going to come over to general, And we want to make sure that we have this transition to audio when switching. Add a transition to the audio. You don't want the hard cut. People say all the time, listen, when I'm switching scenes, I'm getting this pop or I'm getting this loud noise. And that's why you're doing that hard cut. It's like you're not fading it in and you're not fading it out. Okay. Now, the most important thing is you want to set these audio inputs to line level in. Do not set it to the microphone. Okay. As you can see right here, this is what they want by default. This is their microphone plus a plug-in power normal. And we're not going to do that. We're coming off the mixer, so we want this at a line level. Okay. So we're just going to say done. And at this point now, I'm going to go back. You can see where my vocals coming in right here. And if I really get on it. Okay. So as you can see, these are also at unity right down here. This is the balance knob here, and this is our actual fader right here. Okay, as you can see, I just gave it a plus 1.4. I'm just going to highlight that. I'm going to type in 0. I want to keep it at unity because now we're going to get into gain staging. Okay, back over in the X32. Let's go ahead and jump back over there real quick. Back over here, guys, is where we're starting our gain staging. And we're doing this all the way through, believe it or not. When we come up here, when we set these input gains, and we want to get them right exactly where we need them to be, okay, we are gain staging. Believe it or not, even though, a lot of times we'll say gain staging when you go from one piece of equipment to the other. Well, that's exactly what we're doing here. We're going to gain stage from the X32s. Then we're going to go into the ATEMs, and then we're going to come out of that, even though it's going through the USB or the cord or port or however you want to say it, and then we're actually going into OBS. So OBS is going to be our final point. As long as we can keep a consistent line level signal running all the way through this signal path, that will be our last place that we're going to adjust any gain. Up or down. Okay. So as long as you can keep this going all the way through the system without clipping. And one thing I want to go back. I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not. Right here, even on the compressor, the dynamics, I've got this set at a -5. As you can see, it's barely going to come up. Now I raised it 5 dBs here on the stream box, and it is running into this. So this is just a kind of a safe, almost like a limiter, but I don't want to use a limiter. I don't think limiters have their place when you're streaming audio. Okay, that's just my opinion. So I'm going to set this at a -5, and that's my last line of defense. I've got a 3-to-1 ratio. I've got a 1 dB makeup gain on it. The attack is very fast, 4 milliseconds. The hold is around a 0.71, and the release is about 101. So what I'm trying not to do is create any pumping effect that we'll have going on with this, and all of my other compressors are set basically the same. My attack is very fast. My hold is 0.28 here on the vocal mic. My release is 37 milliseconds. So I want this thing to compress that vocal. I don't want it to hold too long, and I want it to release it immediately. Okay? So let's go ahead and come here. We're going to unmute it. And now let's go see what we have in our ATEM Mini software. And there we go, guys. Okay, as I'm speaking, it's coming in here as well, but I'm going to go ahead and reset this, and then we'll watch the audio come through. So as you can see, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to balance that vocal with the music. And that's the thing. We want to try and keep this to where the audience doesn't have to sit there and constantly ride their volume knob, because the praise and worship music is so loud compared to the preaching or the announcements or however you've got it going on. Now at this point, I'm going to try and bring up OBS, but it may just stop this entire process. So before I do that, I'm going to go into Camtasia and I'm going to save this video, this part of it, and then see if I can get the rest of this to go through. I'll be right back. Okay guys, after about 3 or 4 crashes with the computer here, finally figured out some stuff. First I want to show you here that if we go to advanced properties, again we're staying at Unity, but we can actually monitor this now from our headphone output jack on the computer. Okay, so this is our last chance to monitor this, which is exactly the way it should be. Okay, so when I release this, what you're going to hear is this actually coming out of my computer speakers. I can almost hear it say, arise, arise, my little ones, arise, arise, arise. Okay, so that's a wonderful thing. So now I'm going to go ahead and release this. I'm going to start the recording. I'm going to turn my monitors off, my speakers. And we're going to see if we can bring up the Orban meter and just check out some loudness. Okay, so I'm going to release this. One other thing I want to show you. Here under Advanced Properties, I did shoot this down to mono. Okay, so I want this to be a mono signal. Now everybody will say, well, Dana, look, man, we want to do this in stereo. You know, that's up to you. If YouTube is stressing or Facebook is stressing, which most of the time they are stressing, okay, they're going to convert it down to mono anyway. So I figure it's probably better. Just go ahead and beat them to the punch. So let's start the recording. And after I give this time to record, I'll pull this video back up. And then we can actually see what the numbers are. Remember the goal, if you're going to Facebook, especially if you're going to YouTube, is a negative 14 LUFS. Anything louder, and they're going to compress it. So again, if you want to get the best sounding audio you possibly can, you just have to meet their requirements. They're not suggestions. These are requirements. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop recording. And I'm going to mute this. I'm actually going to close this program out now. And then I'm going to go find that video and bring it up. Okay guys, here it is. I'm going to hit play and then bring up the Orban meter. This right up here is what we're looking for, that negative 18. Now the AES suggests that your streaming audio be between a negative 16 and negative 20 LUFS. So we are definitely well within that range. And as far as YouTube goes, we're only about 3 dBs off right there. So if we wanted to make a correction on that, okay, then we can go into OBS. We could add 2 dBs to it just to get it a little bit closer. But I can assure you that this would be sufficient. And it's the easiest way to do it. Okay, and that's just my opinion. All right, I hope this helps. Take care. God bless. And we are out of here.